Well, put it this way, as I'm sure you know, lots of Roman Catholic priests have abused children, and I'm sure they seem really nice when you meet them in order to... Right, right, right,
That's why I asked you.
right.
I'm wondering why you're pushing this so much. I thought you were in a lot of pain.
Well, put it this way, not in terms of actual sexual abuse against me, but they actually threatened to have me...
Stop it then.
Well, no, it's more than that. They've attacked me. Like what it says here, Unitarian Universalists misuse blasphemy law to cover up and deny rape. They threatened me with a legal letter to have me charged with violating Canada's blasphemy law. There's a law prohibiting blasphemy in the Canadian Criminal Code. And they said, we will charge you with this law, which carries a 2-year jail term if you're convicted, if you don't take down your blog posts about the pedophiles and rapists in the church. So that's a direct threat against me to put me in jail if I don't stop talking about... What?
When did they do
2012, June 1st, 2012. No, I humiliated the lawyer and I I didn't take down a comma because everything I'm saying is true. I'm talking about people who were charged, tried, convicted, went to jail. You know, so, I mean, there's other cases, you know, there's cases where people didn't go to jail, but to protect myself from like libel or slander accusations, I made sure that everything I put on publicly was public.
overall, the Unitarian overall, the whole set?
Well, I'm not talking about specific cases, but it was the head office, like their Vatican, they accused me of blasphemous libel to try and get me to remove the blog post. So it didn't work out so well for them.
I hope you're not hurting anybody, because that's what it's all about.
Well, I'm not physically hurting.
No, but there might be some really good people in there, and people need the church, the good part of it.
Right.
Everywhere you go, there's bad and good.
Right, but here, put it this way, they're hurting me.
Saying what you want.
What?
From saying what you want to say.
Yeah, exactly. They're hurting me, and they're also, and by not dealing with the problems in the church, they're hurting everyone else who's affected by it. You know, like there are people who could use real justice that never got it, and by trying to just cover everything up, they're hurting those people.
All I know is I hope you did your homework.
Oh, believe me, I did my homework. That's why.
I don't know anybody in there that would hurt a child. There's nobody in there that would hurt a child.
Well, you don't know that for sure.
I've been around.
Yeah, but you don't know that for sure. Put it this way. I told you that there was some evidence that you know, locally there had been some child abuse and so on.
Not in that one.
Let me finish. The previous minister, Reverend Ray Drennan, he was totally estranged from 2 daughters who he adopted. He adopted 2 Indian girls from Mauritius or Mauritania or whatever. He was totally
Who's the reverend here?
previously. Yeah, I believe at minimum there was psychological and emotional abuse of those 2 girls from that minister. I don't have absolute proof, but there's circumstantial evidence. I have 100% proof of other stuff. I know what I'm doing, I can assure you. So that's a guy who, you know, says he was a victim of child abuse. Okay, so our sensor's overheating, but at least we got everything here. We're 20 minutes into the recording. But yeah, this is a guy who, you know, basically apparently lives in the area. Was thinking of joining a gardening group. Was thinking of bringing his daughter to the church, and you know, he stops and he's asking me questions, and to be honest, I'm a little surprised at the level of denial in him in terms of the possibility, and I am saying possibility, that there's a certain amount of child abuse that happens at the Unitarian Church of Montreal locally. I think, you know, when you've got a community of any particular size, there's almost certainly going to be a certain amount of abuse of children, whether it's, you know, verbal and psychological abuse or some forms of physical abuse, etc. Not necessarily sexual abuse. So I was surprised that, you know, he's basically saying things, oh, like nobody in that church would ever hurt a child. Well, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not convinced that it'll certainly hurt an adult. As I said, I've been physically assaulted by several Montreal Unitarians who weren't happy with my protest. If they'll physically assault an adult, who knows what they might do with you know, their own children even. Anyhow, as I said, the sensor is overheating, and what happens is the camera shuts off automatically at a certain point when it's overheating too much. So I think what I may do, since it's fairly quiet, is just shut down the camera now. I got an interesting segment of video here. Let it cool down a bit and then start it up again. So I think that's the best thing to do, is to just end this a little earlier and let the sensor cool down and start a fresh segment of video in a few minutes, because I don't see a whole lot of people coming this way. Well, I do see a small group. Well, maybe just no, we're going to shut it down now.